What's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're going to be playing the new Banished seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which, after we get our starting hands, our entire deck gets banished. That means we will not be drawing cards in between rounds, so if you play a bunch of cards in round 1, better prepare yourself for being down cards in rounds 2 and or 3. Today we're going to be playing a Nilfgaard deck that will lock, damage, and destroy its way to victory, so let's give it a look. So we'll use a Nilfgaard double cross deck here, and I'll flip through the deck to show you what we have. And generally speaking, the idea is we're reducing the amount of power that our opponent can have as much as possible, with cards like Yrden to reset rows, Korathi Heatwave to banish. Braathens will be one of our few cards that is focused on putting up points ourselves, but for the most part, we just want to be limiting the amount of points that our opponent has, and we're not going to put up that many ourselves, so going to be a very defensive deck for that reason. Ivar Evil-Eye, one of our other more offensively oriented cards, but there aren't too many of those in here. Geralt of Rivia, destroy big cards. Steal cards, this is basically just another Korathi Heatwave to get rid of one of our opponent's cards because we can't actually play anything from our deck when our entire deck gets banished. Coup de Grace, mostly just to create an additional copy of one of our opponent's stronger cards, or, worst comes to worst, we use it on one of our spies that we play ourselves. And then Vilgefortz is great because we destroy one of our opponent's cards and they don't have anything to summon from their deck, so it's just outright destroy. Treason for damage, Black Blood for destroying, Auckes for lock, Dorregaray for lock, destroying locked units, more locking and resetting, locking and damage, locking, one of our other more offensively oriented cards, and probably the one that we, again, worst comes to worst, would hit with our Coup de Grace. And then once we get to the end of our deck, we're looking at cards that we ideally not ever have to play, but putting up 6 points for 4 provision cost card is something. Master of Disguise, because we have so much luck, could get boosted fairly easily. The problem is we might not have very much time for him to get boosted, because, again, we don't draw cards in between rounds, so we want to be very mindful of how many cards we're playing in any given round. So there's a look at the deck. Like I said, very defensively oriented, focusing on damaging, destroying, and locking. We don't have a ton of points that we're going to put up ourselves, but we're hoping that our defense is strong enough that that won't be a factor. Okay, so first opponent here will be Scoia'tael, and they'll go first. Okay, so we have a lot of our smaller cards here with Duchess's Informants, Pact, so I don't love this. I think we definitely want to try to get a little bit bigger here. Let's get rid of one of our Duchess's Informants. I mean, we probably do want to keep one to go with Coup de Grace, because that is a nice synergy, potentially. Destroying a locked unit, and we do have some locks, so that works well. Master of Disguise could work as well in that regard, but I think we probably still maybe get rid of Pact as our last card here, but this is looking like this is going to be a relatively weak starting hand, and because we're only ever going to get this hand, this is going to be a little bit rough. Let's see if we can pull it off. So there you see, yes, both of our decks get immediately banished, so can't do anything to play cards from our deck. Okay, Mahakam Defender, they do have the leader ability, Invigorate, that boosts every card in their hand by 1, which, when you're only playing with that starting hand, then, I mean, that's not bad, and it does mean you're going to immediately start to get boosted. So, we want to shut this down as quickly as possible. The question is, how do we want to do that? We could outright destroy you with Assassination. That's a perfect 6 damage, which might be the route we want to take there. Otherwise, we can lock you. You're still going to have 6 points, which is more than we'd like to have one of your cards having right now. I think we might just go with Assassination. Because remember, the other thing is that because we're not drawing any additional cards, even going into round 2 or round 3, we need to always keep in mind that we need to play fast. Okay, and they're going traps. And I do think traps are going to be very strong in this seasonal event. Because, well, what can we play now? Potentially very little. I would think maybe we go with something that's one of our weaker cards. We're not too concerned about it going down. I'm also looking at our leader ability and thinking maybe we play something relatively weak like Master of Disguise, get that destroyed, and then use Double Cross to play a card from their hand, and that will make it through the trap, because it will already trigger on Master of Disguise. So I think we might go this route here, then we might want to pass soon thereafter. So let's see. I'm assuming Master of Disguise is going to get destroyed here. It will. Okay. Because we didn't have any cards that were going to be big enough to avoid that. Let's go Double Cross. And, ooh, Resilience. Yes, that could be very strong. Let's get that down here then. And ideally, we would pass, although they have the tactic, and tell you what, I mean, tactics are going to be a huge difference maker in this seasonal event, because having 4 or 5 additional, yeah, and they did have Carlo Varese for the damage, and that's just going to outright, oh, not quite outright destroy Zoltan, but having an additional 4 or 5 boost from a tactic, that, in many cases, is going to be seemingly almost an automatic victory in round 1, when normally if you were going second, you would be willing to play one more card than your opponent, instantly pass in round 2, and draw back up to your maximum cards in round 3, but that doesn't work in this seasonal event, because, again, you're not drawing cards, and that just fundamentally changes so much. But let's see, what can we do here? Duchess's Informant does not work yet, because this is not a bronze card, so that's tricky. We could Dimeritium Shackles to lock you, bring you down to a 1, and then follow up with destroying you on our next turn, but you could still use your tactic to boost him back up, and then we'd be in a not-so-great spot after that. I think maybe we go get a little bit more strength down and lock, so this way, even if you do apply the boost, we could still... Okay, now you're, of course, going to use your resilience. Okay, and that's the one that you're going to boost. That makes some sense. Sure. Now, we could turn around and lock reset you and destroy. Let's just see. That'd drop you down to a 4, in which case you'd have 4 and 6 for 10 total. Still being the lead. Have now used your tactic, so at least we don't need to worry about that. Treason now starts to become a little bit more relevant. That could destroy Carlo Varese. Could Geralt of Rivia to destroy you. That actually, that would drop you to 6, and we would have 9. So that would be perhaps the only way for us to take a lead from just one turn here. That's very tempting. I don't know if we're going to have much opportunity to use Geralt going forward, so let's seize that opportunity now. It is, of course, probably the best card we had in our hand, yes, but it may be the difference between winning and losing round 1. Okay, and they played a trap. This is interesting. Now, there is, of course, the trap that will boost adjacent units whenever your opponent passes, in which case, if we pass right now, they will get boosted, and how much does it get boosted by? I think it would be enough for them to pass us, but if it's a damaging trap, then, well, if we don't play any cards, we pass right now, then we do have the lead. So I am very tempted to pass here. I think we take that risk, because otherwise, what are we looking at? We could destroy Carlo Varese, and that would be a pretty big momentum swing. I would think, pretty clearly take round 1 here. Problem is, if we do that, then we're down to 5. Well, we're still 5 cards apiece. Maybe we are okay with that. I was going to say, we don't want to get too aggressive overplaying our cards here, but perhaps this does work. Let's go for it. And yes, that will destroy this card here. It does mean that we would have been safe passing. I think our opponent is going to pass here. We definitely want to pass next turn, assuming they don't have some ridiculous play here. Okay, they're going for another trap. Now, this time, there's no risk of it boosting adjacent cards when we pass. In fact, if we pass now, that, I think, would still trigger, and then it would have nothing to boost. Other than that, I mean, what could it be? It could be deal damage based on the provision cost of the card we play. If we pass immediately, not going to do anything. They've already played their 5 damage traps. Definitely not going to be that. I think we definitely just pass here. And I think we're going to take round 1 with card advantage, unless, oh, they have Living Armor, which is a 10-point play. That was clever. But they are now down 2 cards. And that is significant, because remember, they will not draw any cards back here. That means we will have permanent 2-card advantage. Not to mention, we have Zoltan carrying over here. See, that's one of the things they didn't consider is we can now pass immediately, take this round with our 1 strength Zoltan carrying us to round 2 victory, and now we will continue to have 2-card advantage going into round 3. Okay, so now this is problematic, though. Maybe didn't think too much about what those 5 cards we had in our hand were, because all of these cards require that our opponent has something out there first, except they forfeit. Oh, man. Okay, we got off a little bit easy there, because at least for that first turn, we did not have any cards that were going to work. Every card was based on damaging or locking our opponent, but they said with 2 cards down, I couldn't handle it, so we'll take the win. Okay, so the monsters here, and we will go first. And Korathi Heatwave, that's nice. Yennefer's Invocation is basically a second Korathi Heatwave, so we have a couple ways to just outright remove cards. Geralt of Rivia, if they have anything that's 9 strength or higher, could do the same thing. Good damage here. We may not have a way to set up Coup de Grace. So what if we actually get rid of one of our Dimeritium Shackles here, because we have plenty of lock here. Braathens, yes, could create a spy to use Coup de Grace, so that way we're safe, even if we can't get something with the death blow on the 3 damage. I think we stick with this then. Question now becomes, what do we play first? Because, as is often the case with Nilfgaard decks, they're trying to mess with our opponent's cards. If our opponent doesn't have any cards out there, then there's nothing to mess with. So, I mean, maybe Alba Armored Cavalry, just to get 5 points out there, and we don't care too much about not having anything to lock. I think that's probably what we go with here, right? And we could potentially even tactical advantage on it to get it boosted. Well, let's do this. And we may even boost this immediately and consider, depending on what they do on their next turn, we might even pass right away. Because since we won't be drawing cards... Oh, that was mean. That was mean. I mean, yes, I did deserve that. But that was still quite mean. Alright, well, attempt number 2. Okay, now you're playing, 6 strength card. So that is a little tricky, because that is a quick play there. We could destroy it with Assassination, and then get a little bit of rat points as well. I think we go that route. That's just about as good a value as you can get out of Assassination, right? So, do this, get some of the rats, and then, I mean, we would kind of like to pass soon, because at least right now, we're sitting on a 7-point advantage. Of course, we have played one more card than our opponent. Keltolis? Oh, what? Didn't see that coming. Except we can destroy it. Except we can destroy it. Let's do it. Oh, why not? I mean, it does mean we're playing one more card than our opponent. My guess is they will immediately pass after us doing that. But to remove their best card, I mean, we have to, right? We could steal it and then not actually do anything with it because we don't have a deck. But I think we save this for another time when we can remove a card that doesn't have 9 or more strength, whereas on this occasion, Geralt of Rivia does work. Let's make it happen. Sorry, buddy. Okay, they're going with a Slizzard here, which has 5 points. So it doesn't catch up to us yet. Now, I'm thinking about, do we pass here? Because we're winning on even. They would need to go down 1 to beat us, and they only need 4 points to do that, which is definitely doable. What if we pact for a quick 6 points while we have the units out there? That might not be a bad idea. I'd like to save Braathens, and then we have a bunch more removal cards. Yeah, I think we pact, and then we're going to want to pass after that. We do still have our leader ability, so we definitely can get some points out of that as well, but if we go this route, let's use it on our weakest card in case they have any form of removal. But we're hoping that that's enough that they can't pass us in just 1 card. I mean, if they have a 10-point card, I mean, it's possible for monsters, right? But we'll see. Riga eggs, they might use their leader, or they can just consume it with bats, and that gets up to 12 versus our 15. We are still in the lead here, but they are narrowing the gap at a concerning pace. We could let them consume card after card with this Slizzard, and then do something like Yennefer's Invocation or Korathi Heatwave to remove that Slizzard, which is very tempting, but I wonder what the correct timing of that is. I mean, the more cards they commit to consuming with Slizzard, the more catastrophic it is for them when we remove it. But we might more or less need to do that now, because otherwise, what are we doing? We're committing Ivar Evil-Eye or Braathens, neither of which we really want to do. Coup de Grace, what are we going to do? Use it on a drone? No way. So, yeah, I think we Yennefer's Invocation on you now. And that should basically be, I would think, a guaranteed round 1 win. Yeah, they pass. Okay. So it does mean that we went down 1 card in round 1, which, because we do not draw cards, is quite important. Okay, so I think for that reason we have basically no choice but to dry pass here, because otherwise, without drawing any cards in between rounds, we are permanently going to be down one card. This way, we'll force them to play a card, so we'll be on an even 4 cards apiece going into round 3. We'll still have our leader ability, so will they. But we know they've used Keltullus, which is their biggest card, I would have to assume. Whereas we still have a few aces up our sleeve. Not to mention, it means that now they need to go first in this round, which is a lot easier for us to deal with. Okay, they're going with more consumption. And I think that means that something like Korathi Heatwave is going to be very nice, or even Ivar Evil-Eye to switch power with some of their units that consume a bunch of stuff. So I like that. What do we go with first? I think the answer is probably Braathens. Create a copy of this, because it's a 6 strength bronze card, which is, as bronze cards go, just about as good as it gets. You have 3 cards in your hand right now, so this is also probably going to end up being the round in which we use our leader ability. So let's go Duchess's Informant. Great, you. We'll split the rows just in case, and I think we want to do this, and it also gives us good insight as to what they are perhaps about to play. And they could consume the Rot Fiend. I think it's almost certainly going to end up happening, as well as the Bridge Troll. Let's see, would we rather do this or do this to them? I think we'd rather do this because we don't care too much about dealing damage to them if we're going to destroy their cards anyway. So we do that. That gets Braathens higher. We'll consume the Bridge Troll, and we will, once this guy starts consuming stuff, and you might end up destroying the Bridge Troll with this. It's possible. It's not the end of the world. But we could destroy you now, but ideally what we do is we actually swap power first. Oh, except it will, yeah, now we're on Adrenaline 2, so we'll only deal 4 damage, which is, yeah, unfortunate, but, I mean, it's either that or destroy it altogether, which is, I mean, we'd prefer to do this first, right? Well, I guess it doesn't matter much. We know that you have, what, a Bridge Troll remaining, and I forget what the last card was. But if you Bridge Troll, you'll consume that, you'll get higher, and then we want to destroy you. I mean, it doesn't really matter if we destroy you now or later. We'll go Ivar Evil-Eye now. Deal the damage. I mean, actually, I suppose, technically speaking, damaging the Duchess's Informant would have reduced your strength by more, because this is going to go away, whereas the Duchess's Informant is not. Here's the Bridge Troll. Oh, that's true. You do have your leader charges. Oh, okay. Interesting points. I forgot about that. That does complicate matters a bit. I was just thinking that all the strength is going to get funneled into this one card, in which case we remove that one card and we're good to go. But that's not necessarily the case with your leader charges. Okay. All right, then. I think we might go Coup de Grace, obviously on the Duchess's Informant, and then create a copy of you, and that will continue to boost Braathens, but not sure how this math is going to start lining up here. This is going to be closer than I was giving you credit for. Now, we don't really have any reason to consume here, but we have a 10-point lead, which I do, of course, like. But you still have a leader ability charge, whereas we've used ours. Right now, it would actually be the Ekimara that we would destroy. Okay, there is your last leader ability charge. What was your last card? Noonwraith. Okay. And that's going to give you 6, which is not quite enough. Okay, so we already have it. We could Korathi Heatwave. I mean, yeah, on the 11 Ekimara, sure, we'll do it. And they have disconnected because they know that they have now lost. Alright, so they forfeit, and we take it. Okay, so the Scoia'tael here, and they will go first. And we have Yennefer's Invocation, I like that. Geralt of Rivia, if they have big enough cards, that is big. Yrden as well, okay. Then a couple of Pacts, which, tell you the truth, it is one of our lower provision cost cards, and by extension, you would assume it's one of our weakest, although getting 6 strength is actually something that we can't do a lot of in this deck. Do we need Artifact Compression here, or Duchess's Informant along with Braathens? Maybe just Braathens alone is enough? Well... Try swapping it around again. Treason, okay. More outright damage. Away go the decks. Elven Scout, okay, well, you've told us what to expect here. We are expecting traps. And you are a 9 strength card that will get boosted by those traps. So I am awfully tempted to take this opportunity to use Geralt of Rivia, because we don't know. There's a chance they might not have a 9 strength card in any future rounds. So I think we kind of have to make this move here. Let's do it. Okay, and here come the traps. Now, of course, they would have liked to have had the card that gets boosted whenever those get triggered. But as for what exactly that trap is going to be, it could be 5 damage to whatever card we play now, in which case that card would get destroyed unless it's Dorregaray, and his lock doesn't really do anything here. We go Braathens. Braathens would get destroyed, but then we could create a copy of the Elven Deadeye, so we'd still get a little bit of value out of that. Otherwise, we go with a special card. We could boost Geralt. That's actually pretty tempting here. I think we do that. Let's go this route. Geralt's up to a 9, which means, you know, we're hoping that they don't turn around and use a Geralt on Geralt. They play another trap. Okay, so I think what we do here is I think we pass. Now, there's a chance that this trap is the one that boosts adjacent units when we pass. However, even that, I don't think that boosts by 6. I always forget how much that boosts by, but I think it's, what, like 4? So they would still need to play another card to catch up to us, and they're already down 1 card. So I think we end it here, and we either win round 1 or we take pretty significant card advantage going into rounds 2 and or 3. Let's see, that's 3 strength with some damage, and then use your leader ability to get up to 9. Okay, so they won round 1, but they had to go down 2 cards to do it. And remember, because we are not drawing any additional cards going into round 2 here, we will maintain that card advantage. So I think for that reason, certainly possible that they instantly pass here, but they don't. What? Why would you ever lead off with that? Oh, well, I suppose if you spawn in, yeah. If you go with the range row, that makes some sense. Just get a bunch of Elven Deadeyes out here. My guess is you're going to end up passing next turn. And you're basically saying, okay, well, I'm putting down 14 points in 1 turn. I'm guessing you can't do that as quickly as I can. And you may be right about that, but I'm thinking this is definitely going to be a leader ability turn here. But what else would be best for just slamming down as many points as possible? Probably Braathens. That's 4. Plus, we could create a copy of an Elven Deadeye for 7. We're putting a 1 strength spy on your side, so on net, we're gaining 6, which is actually the same as Dorregaray, so, well, maybe it's worth just sticking with Dorregaray here. Let's go leader ability first. Oh, but we don't have traps. No. Move stuff. Oh, and we're about to run out of time as well. Quickly, get Dorregaray down there and just do something. Okay, so we still got some points out of that. 10, which is decent, but they are still in the lead here, so I would argue they should potentially still pass right now. I mean, it's close. Yeah, so they're going to do some movement. Not that that does too much to hurt us here, but mostly just a matter of them having a higher number of points than us right now, and I mean, this would be a better card to create copies of for things like Braathens, and so that's a little bit better now that they have higher bronze cards out there. Braathens would now be net 7, so we would not quite be able to catch up to you in 1 turn. No targets that are good for artifact impression. Treason, at best we play here, gives us 6 damage total. We could swipe you, but that's just 5. That's not great either. So I'm thinking what we do here, it doesn't catch us up in 1 turn, but if we go with a Pact, and then maybe follow with Braathens next turn, I think that might be the order of operations here. Let's do this. Because we're within 2, so we're definitely within striking distance here. Basically forcing our opponent to continue to play cards. And, oh, they don't have traps in their deck because they don't have a deck. Oh, dear. Okay, so they've basically just thrown away a card. So I think what we do in this case is we try to play something small, something that just barely puts us in front of our opponent. So that could be Treason. You know, that 6 damage is, yes, enough to drop you down to a 12. We'd be up by 4. Yennefer's Invocation would be, technically, at least on this occasion, a little bit smaller. Be a 5-point play, but I guess the question here is, between these two, which one would we rather have going forward? We'd rather have a Treason or rather a Yennefer's Invocation? Actually, not sure. I think Treason is maybe a little bit harder to make it work because you have to have strong cards next to each other, and you do have that here. Or, I mean, not that they're very strong, but there are at least a bunch of cards in the same row. So let's do this. We take the lead. We still have 2-card advantage, so that is really the big thing. Okay, now you're playing a trap. Now, you did put that in between 2 units, so I would think that might mean that this is the boosting trap. I might be reading into that a little too much here. We don't know for certain. Oof. Does make it a little bit difficult to gauge what route we want to take here. Because if it's the damaging trap, we want Braathens. Well, I mean, if it's a damaging trap, technically we'll still have a lead no matter what you do here. Ooh, actually, Alba Armored Cavalry does have 1 armor. So even if it's the 5 damage trap, you would still survive. I think that might be the best play in that case. It's just a little play. Because if it is the one that boosts when we pass, then you will overtake us if we were to pass right now. So we want to continue to keep playing here just a little bit. Oh, yep, it did not deal damage to us. So I think that is the boosting trap in that case. And that means that it would be really helpful right now to remember just how much that does. You're going to lock and move. But perhaps more significant than that, since, blocking us doesn't really do anything, is... Oh, no, it was not the trap that I thought. It was the deal 2 damage to everything in a row, in which case it did matter that you moved us. Okay. You have taken a slim lead here. So now... Block reset doesn't do much of anything for us, at least on this round. So that could be a bit of a dead card here. Yennefer's Invocation... Swiping you would drop you by 5. That would be enough. That might be the play here, because Geralt Yrden doesn't help us much at all. It's mostly just playing it for the 2 points. So, I think we do this. And they have only 1 card remaining here, so I'm thinking they're probably going to realize they can't win this round and they're going to pass. Well, turn a trap to your hands. That one there. Okay, so we know what it's going to do. It's going to do 2 damage to us in a row. That's a total of 6 damage. It's actually quite a bit. So Braathens would be, what? A net 7-point play, so that would be enough. I think we do need to play Braathens here, don't we? Because this will trigger? It triggers after 2 turns. I don't trust myself to pass here. I feel like I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that will possibly maybe trigger on us, so let's go Braathens. Just play it safe. Make the Duchess's Informant. Use this to create this. Do this. Do this. Oh, and I forgot. Braathens will also... we should have moved ourselves, actually. But Braathens will also... Yeah, see there, triggers. Get boosted a little bit when we create the additional card. The Duchess's Informant and the Friar Dragoon. So actually, that was a bigger play than I was giving it credit for. But we have certainly taken the lead here for round 2 with 2-card advantage. The thing here is, this is, well, they have no cards. They can't do anything in round 3. So I was going to say we have basically nothing to do in round 3, except our opponent quite literally has exactly nothing, and our 2-point Geralt will be the difference maker here because, well, ready? We do that, reset ourselves, and they're done. They have nothing they can do but pass. I mean, we can lock and reset Geralt just because we can. And that is game. So there's a look at a defensive Nilfgaard deck for the new Banished seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to use in this new event as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.